Tantse, I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. A woman has died and a man has been arrested in Winnipeg following what police are calling a domestic-related assault. The woman and the man are from the Norway House Cree Nation in northern Alberta, or northern Manitoba, pardon me. On Saturday morning, March 22nd at around 3:10 a.m., Winnipeg police were called to a home in the 1000 block of Selkirk Avenue. When they arrived, they found a 33-year-old woman with severe injuries. She was taken to hospital in critical condition and later died. Police have identified her as Stephanie Papanekis, who was living in Winnipeg last year. The K-9 unit later found 40-year-old Jason Matthew Keem. He was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. He remains in custody. A private investigator has taken over the case of Lonnie Chum. The 21-year-old woman was found injured after a hit and run on November 7th outside a house of Jabon Street in Moose Factory, Ontario. She was later airlifted to hospital but died of her injuries. Lonnie's father, Robert Chum, has hired Ellen White, owner of Pulse Private Investigators in Toronto. White runs the Whereabouts Unknown initiative, a Facebook page and podcast dedicated to the families of missing or murdered loved ones. White told Timmins Today News that she and the Ontario Provincial Police received anonymous tips pointing to the same suspects and identifying two vehicles of interest. Robert Chum criticized police for not trying hard enough when they canvassed for witnesses in the area where the hit and run happened. The OPP and Anishinaabe police are still investigating. Anyone with information is asked to contact Pulse Private Investigators at 289-975-0909. Canadian voters will go to the polls on Monday, April 28th in the 45th general election. The election was called on Sunday after Governor General Mary Simon dissolved the House of Commons at the request of Prime Minister Mark Carney. The election will run 37 days for roughly 5 weeks, the shortest campaign period allowed under federal law. Polls show both the Liberals and Conservatives locked in a dead heat, followed by the NDP, Bloc Québécois, and Greens trailing far behind. Elections Canada also held a press conference in Ottawa on Monday morning where Chief Electoral Officer Stephanie Perreault said the organization has been working hard to better engage Indigenous voters.
I'm pleased to say that this early engagement will result in better services for Indigenous electors, especially when it comes to advance voting services. As we speak, we estimate that there will be some 400 advanced polling locations in Indigenous communities compared to 125 at the last election, so more than 3 times as many.
Mi'kmaq Liberal Jaime Baptiste is running in a new federal riding in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia this federal election. Baptiste was elected to represent Sydney Victoria in 2019 and re-elected in 2021. But Baptiste's previous riding was redistributed in 2023. Sydney Glace Bay's boundaries became smaller and now include just one First Nation community, which is Member 2, while omitting Baptiste's home community of Eskasoni. Baptiste will now be running in the new riding called Cape Breton Canso Antigonish, which includes 4 of the 5 First Nations located in Cape Breton. They are Eskasoni, Botladek, Wagmatcook, and Wegogama, and one on mainland Nova Scotia, Buckingeg. We now want to tell you about this week's new web poll question. Over on our website, we ask, will you be voting in the upcoming federal election? Your answers are yes, no, or unsure. Have your say at www.aptnnews.ca. The poll question is located on the right side of the homepage. The Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations and now Minister of Justice and Attorney General Gary Anandasangri says the federal government will pay $1.23 billion in cows and plows benefits to several Prairie First Nations in this fiscal year. Those 8 First Nations include Kakawishtahow, Kisakus, Muskowhegan, and Waski Sipik First Nations in Treaty 4 territory, and Little Pine, Makwasagayagan, Montana, and Peter Ballantine Cree Nation in Treaty 6. A total of 46 claims valued at $6.25 billion have been settled under the federal government's expedited resolution strategy to cover cows and plows benefits that Canada failed to provide under Treaties 4, 5, 6, and 10 when the Crown, governments of the day, and First Nations signed treaty. In a statement, Kakawishtahoe Chief Evan Tapetat called the settlement a step forward, adding, "This settlement is about correcting the agricultural benefits injustice promised to our ancestors. Now we can use these funds to improve the lives of our youth, adult warriors, and elders, ensuring that future generations will also benefit. Our responsibility is to plant financial seeds today that will grow into lasting support for years to come." Hundreds of workers at two Métis Child and Family Services agencies in Manitoba are set to go on strike today if a deal isn't reached. APTN Sierra Bettens has more on that story.
On March 11th, the Manitoba Government and General Employees Union, or MGEU, issued a strike notice for more than 300 workers at the Métis Child, Family and Community Services Agency and Michif Child and Family Services. And if an agreement isn't reached by Tuesday morning, they'll begin striking. The two agencies fall under the Métis Child and Family Services Authority, a nonprofit organization governed by the Manitoba Métis Federation. MGEU President Kyle Ross says workers have been without a contract since January 2023 and are asking for wage parity.
Our workers are looking to be paid the same as they're paid in the civil service, same as the folks who work directly for government who do the same exact work. We're looking for parity because we know if they create a two-tier system, unfortunately, those workers will go where they can be paid more.
On March 6th, 63 workers were laid off from the two agencies. In a news release published on March 7th, the MMF cited funding shortfalls as the reasoning. While the province provided $2.4 million in funding to the two agencies, the MMF said $8.75 million is needed to prevent layoffs and increase wages. However, Ross believes the layoffs were a tactic to persuade workers to accept a lower deal.
We've been at the bargaining table with them for a long time, and it's only once we had a strike mandate that the layoffs came to fruition or came from the employer, so we really feel it's a bargaining tactic.
The MMF also pointed to a jurisdictional dispute between the provincial and federal governments on who is responsible for funding Métis CFS agencies. APTN reached out to the Manitoba Families Minister, Nahani Fontaine, and Patty Haiju, Canada's Minister of Indigenous Services, for comment. A spokesperson from the province confirmed that the Manitoba government has provided Métis CFS with $56.9 million for 2025 to 2026 for staffing operations. If an agreement isn't reached by tomorrow morning's deadline, workers could be on the picket line.
We're actively working to try and avoid a strike, but there is essential services in place, so there will be workers to provide some of this service. It'll be at a lower level. It's not a place where we want to be, and we're actively working to try to resolve this, but it's really we're talking, but we need the employer to come with us, right?
While not available for an interview, Mona Boers, the minister responsible for Métis Child and Family Services, issued a statement on Monday. It said the two agencies presented an offer to the union over the weekend, which was denied. It also said the province's funding letter only includes salary increases and does not include $1,800 retention bonuses, salary step increases, or shelter staff funding. It concludes by stating that until the jurisdictional dispute between federal and provincial governments on Métis CFS funding is resolved, quote, the funding situation of the Red River Métis CFS system will remain the same, unquote. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The Southern Chiefs organization is spending $1 million to help young athletes participate in the upcoming Manitoba Indigenous Summer Games. The SCO calls the $1 million sponsorship an investment in the physical health of First Nations youth. In addition, the organization plans to spend $300,000 to help reclaim Indigenous languages through classes in member nations. Another $100,000 will be used for summer basketball camps for youth in its communities.
We'll be working with our First Nations to make that funding available for athletes. And so we'll be partnering, obviously, working with the Games, working with our First Nations, but absolutely the work as it relates to this funding announcement is starting right away.
The SCO says it's all part of a healthy living campaign focusing on the idea of food, movement, and community can be good medicine. The Southern Chiefs organization is also encouraging member nations to grow nutritious and sustainable food as a way of teaching and promoting healthy living. Indigenous students in Quebec are showcasing their love for science. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. An update now on a story we brought you last week. Whitehorse RCMP have now charged a youth in a weapons incident that took place earlier this month. The RCMP say it responded to multiple reports of a disturbance between a large group of young adults and youth during the afternoon of March 15th. A video of the incident circulating on Facebook appears to show one of the persons involved waving a gun. Police say a youth has been charged with pointing a firearm and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. They cannot be named under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Police say the incident is now before the courts and no further information will be released at this time. The United States Department of the Interior says it plans to reinstate a program aimed at opening a sensitive area of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to oil and gas drilling. The nearly 20 million acre refuge is located in northeast Alaska. Its 1.5 million acre coastal plain acts as nursery grounds for the porcupine caribou herd. The plain is considered sacred by the Gwich'in peoples in northern Canada and Alaska. U.S. President Donald Trump passed a federal program during his first term in office, which required 2 mandated lease sales within the coastal plain. Both sales were a flop and generated virtually no interest from potential bidders. The Gwich'in Steering Committee said in a statement they oppose any development on the coastal plain and will continue to fight for the protection of the porcupine herd. Now to the southern U.S., where a new safety alert bill has been endorsed by the New Mexico State Legislature. Dubbed the Turquoise Alert System, the Rapid Response Initiative would send cell phone alerts to citizens in New Mexico when evidence of imminent danger is found in relation to the disappearance of a Native American person. There are 23 federally recognized tribes within the state of New Mexico, and similar to Canada, large numbers of Native Americans are reported missing or murdered every year. The Turquoise Alert received unanimous consent in the state Senate, and Democratic Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham supports the proposal. The bill needs to go through the House floor before final approval. The 2025 Quebec Indigenous Science Fair took place last week in Nunavut, Quebec. Its theme this year is Science in Action with Indigenous People. Indigenous students from across Quebec traveled to the Cree community of Wapmagshtu and their neighboring Inuit community of Kuujjuarapik to showcase their passion for science. Kim Sullivan shares the details.
I'm very happy to be here to the opening of the Quebec Indigenous Science Fair 2025.
Nearly 80 Indigenous participants from across Quebec presented their science projects in front of judges, visitors, and residents of their host communities. The Quebec Indigenous Science Fair is organized by the Quebec Aboriginal Science and Engineering Association, Kativik Ilisar Nilirinik, and the Cree School Board. Its chairperson, Sarah Pashagumskam, emphasizes the importance of providing such unique opportunities for students to shine through science.
Well, I think it's really important for our children to know that as Indigenous people, as Indigenous nations, we've always been scientists. We've always been researchers. And, the development of our technology, our medicines, our traditional knowledge, all of this is our traditional science.
Among the topics presented were water as source of life, burning of the Kulak, volcanoes, the Cree's Gambit, and exoplanets. Furthermore, students were able to engage with Indigenous knowledge and recognize it as science.
One of the things that this science fair allows them to do is to bring traditional knowledge, to bring our own Indigenous sciences together with Western concepts of science, and to really explore how those can be melded together as they work to solve problems in their own community and for their own future, and really contribute with their own knowledge base to what we're all trying to create together.
A lasting contribution to their community of Mistassini is exactly what third-year high school students Errol Mianscombe Jr. and Mark Petawebino want to see come out of their project.
Our elders believed our water was the cleanest of all places.
And we wanted to prove it using science. So we began testing the waters that we have acquired from the store and off the land and from the tap.
Surprisingly, our creek water was the cleanest of all of them.
And we would propose a bylaw by implementing that everyone with a boat would have to change their motor every few years or maintain it. Then we would encourage more use of traditional water traveling like canoeing.
The names of the winners were announced during a closing ceremony.
From Mistassini, l'École Voyageurs Memorial High School, Nihibi, the Source of Life.
Mianscombe and Petawebino were amongst them. They will be representing the Aboriginal Quebec Autochtone region at the Canada-wide Science Fair in Fredericton at the end of May. Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Montreal.
The longtime executive producer of APTN Investigates is our guest on an all-new episode of Face to Face tonight. During his nearly 18 years at the helm of Investigates, Paul Barnsley and the team have racked up more than 50 awards. Tonight, Barnsley looks back on some of the memorable stories he has covered during his nearly 4 decades as a journalist. One of those was during his time with Windspeaker when Dudley George was shot and killed by an OPP sniper.
The family, Sam George especially, Dudley's brother, took him 15 long years of fighting to finally get the truth to be told, and they got the land back too. And the sad part of that is the night before the ceremony where they were going to hand over the land, give the camp and the park back to the Kettle and Stony Point people, Sam was dying of liver cancer. And he called me that night just to say thanks for all the help over the years. And I mean, that's just the kind of guy Sam was. You know, he was a remarkable guy. I'll never forget him. And there's been a lot of people I've met like that. You know, that's the cool part about this job, is you meet a lot of remarkable people.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, you can go to www.aptnnews.ca. And you can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, LinkedIn, and X, and on YouTube, where you can watch this newscast anywhere, anytime. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. We have more stories for you after the break. We'll be right back. Starting on the East St. John's 2, Charlottetown 3. Cartwright -9, Happy Valley Goose Bay -12. Saguenay 0, Quebec City -1. 2 in Peterborough and rain, Toronto partly cloudy and 4. Sioux Lookout -10, Wawa -7. The Paw -5, Norway House -3. -6 in Princess Harbor, Dauphin 0. Swift Current 3, Saskatoon -3. Meadow Lake 2, Sun's out in La Ronge at 3. -1 in Fort Chipewyan, sun in Fort McMurray at 9. 17 in Lethbridge, Medicine Hat 14. Tofino 13, Campbell River, same temperature. Sandspit 9, Smithers 10. 6 in Watson Lake, Beaver Creek 1. -6 in Fort Simpson, Wrigley -7. Sax Harbor -26, Pawlatuck -24. Whale Cove -24, Baker Lake -26. Arctic Bay -26, Agulik -27. An inspiring leader who supports Aboriginal people from across the country in times of need has been named the New South Wales Aboriginal Woman of the Year. Marjorie Anderson, who heads up the Indigenous-led National Crisis Hotline 13 Yarn, received the honor on the eve of International Women's Day. NITV reporter Michaeli Siren was there and caught up with Auntie Marge right after the ceremony.
The New South Wales Aboriginal Woman of the Year promotes a pillar of the community driving cultural and community change and improved outcomes for First Nations people. And we're here with this year's winner. Congratulations, Marjorie Anderson. You must be so happy and proud.
Oh, thank you. I'm really humbled too, because there were so many great women in the finalist group. I didn't expect to win.
What an honour it must be to be named the Aboriginal Woman of the Year. What does this award mean to you?
Oh, look, it means so much, because it's a real recognition of the hard work that you do. You slog away, and you don't think about awards or anything like that. You're just doing your best. And it's nice that people recognise the work you do.
And you're one of several incredible First Nations women that were nominated today, both in the category that you won in, but also in other categories. What do you think makes a strong Indigenous role model and a pillar of the community amongst women?
I think bravery. I think you just got to go for it. And you think about what's the worst thing that can happen with me going for it, and you plan for that. And you just keep going and moving forward and be brave and be bold. Look, I just think pick what you're passionate about, and then you will always have the drive and the energy to deliver. So, and be bold, be brave. People will say that you're too loud. People will say that you're a nuisance. You'll probably get sacked from a few jobs, which I have. But that's fine. Move on and go where the elders put you. I never have planned my career. I always say the elders put me where I need to be when I need to be there.
Well, as women, our paths aren't always easy, and we often know that we have to navigate a lot of hurdles to get where we want to get in life. As a role model for other First Nations women, what is one message that you would send?
I would say don't let the hard times really be what defines you. Look at the hard times, learn from them, because I say that people send you hard times because there's good times around the corner, and you need those hard times to keep yourself humble and just go forward and go for what you want.
Well, what an accomplishment. Marjorie Anderson, congratulations. You should be very proud of yourself, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
A big congratulations to Auntie Marge from all of us at Turtle Island. And that's your daytime newscast for this Tuesday, March 25th. Dennis Ward is back for your evening newscast in a few hours. Make sure to join him then. From all of us at APTN HQ in Winnipeg and from our reporting staff from across the country, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Exit.